Hey everybody, welcome to Sew with Joe. Today we are switching over to one of my newly found pairs of 20 plus year old jeans. I had completely forgot that I owned these, and then I found them in my sewing drawer a little while ago. What do jeans look like after 20 some odd years? Well, this. If if you're new to the channel, and I've picked up a few subscribers, these I have, I think, four. I used to have 6 pair of these, and now I have, I think I'm down to 4. I'm reducing my old jeans just because they are quite a lot to maintain. And yeah, jeans after 20 years, they start to look a little bit ragged, a little bit worn out. So you got to maintain them. And yeah, today we're putting in a little patch panel. It had split wide open here. I've already pinned it in, and we're gonna be talking about Lego. So Lego's been in the news recently about aiming for gender equality in their toys, and there's another story that I found quite interesting. So we'll get into that right away. Just want to get started on this. I'm going to be sewing it from the inside. Back patches I like to sew from the inside. Other patches I like to sew from the outside. Sometimes I have tried to use a sewing machine in the past, and it hasn't gone well for me. So I prefer sewing by hand. We did buy an old hand crank sewing machine, pearl inlay and all sorts of shit, and we got it for a really good price at an auction. So I'm gonna try that out. That'll be on the channel one of these days. Since I'm sewing it from the back, I'm going to trim off some of these little frayed pieces, just so it doesn't get sewn in, because that can create tensions in weird places sometimes. I guess I could just trim them out if that happens. I try not to remove much material from my jeans. Just there's not much left of the original parts, so What do these look like from the inside, you ask? Well, let's see. Pinned, and I'm just going to go all the way around. I tend to patch in more material than I need to, just because if you just barely put it in, it just tears right open again. And this way it gives it kind of a neat layered effect. Everything is like opening and opening and opening, and you get to see all the layers underneath. So let's get into it. Get some heavy black thread. I like using a big couch or cushion needle, just something that I can grab onto. I find small sewing needles frustrating. You waste a little more thread this way, which I don't really like, but that is life. Oops. And then I go and let go of one end. Okay. See if we can do this time. Not the most precise today, it seems. But Lego. Let's talk about Lego. What Lego is doing, I find this very, very interesting, is they are creating Lego play sets for MRI rooms. I don't know if you've had an MRI or if you kind of know the process, but if not, it can be a bit disturbing. You are put on a bed and then slid into a metal tube um, that isn't much larger than you are, and you are subjected to anywhere from 15 minutes to sometimes over an hour of the entire unit making extremely loud noises around you and pulsing and vibrating. It's basically like makes hammering noises, like bang 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 bang. And you're subjected to that for quite a long time, and it can be freaky. And I can see, especially for young children, that it would be a very upsetting experience. So what Lego has done is they have made these play sets of MRI rooms, and they have sent them to MRI rooms. They initially released 100 of the sets, roughly 100, and sent them out as a test. And there was such positive feedback that they've made another 600, and they've had requests for 1,500 additional on top of that 600 that they've sent out. So massively popular. Basically the kids can sit down and play with a Lego MRI playset before they go in and do the actual thing. The doctor can use it basically as a model and explain what happens and help put the kids' minds at ease. Go for it. Cheers. Now, when I was reading the article, I was like, wow, yeah, that's all fine and good. You know, makes the kids relax a little more. But what's the big deal, really? Well, one thing I didn't think of, or a few things I didn't think of, is that when kids are inconsolable and freaking out and whatever, and need to have these MRIs done, the what's the word I'm looking for? The medicinal world, I guess. The procedure is to anesthetize them so that they can be still while the MRI is going on. And these models greatly reduce the need for anesthetic. And that's fantastic. Fantastic news. Put these kids' minds at ease enough that they don't have to be drugged to have a medical procedure done. The other thing that I hadn't thought of is that it improves the quality of the imaging, because when you're in an MRI, you need to be extremely still, like 100% still. And that's difficult for a child at the best of times, never mind when they're in a very weird, unfamiliar, scary, etc., environment. And you know, they need to be very still. If they're not very still, they might have to redo the MRI because you move too much. The MRI is basically taking magnetic images of whatever part of your body that they're focused on, one layer at a time. So if you have any movement, your layers get mixed up and they can't really see things clearly, like, because you'll see a progression. It's like taking slices. If there's a tumor somewhere, you'll see healthy tissue, one color, and then all of a sudden you'll see a little blip in the middle of a different color getting bigger, that's your tumor, and then getting smaller, and that's the end of your tumor. So if you're not sitting still, it'll start opening up and then close and then open up, and it'll just be inconsistent imaging, and that can be very frustrating. And costly is another big one, because MRIs, I don't know what they cost because I live in Canada. I'm sure they're fantastically expensive down in the States and other parts of the world that don't have universal health care. I'm trying to think of where else doesn't have universal health care. That's a developed nation. Help me out, I can't think of it. I was just thinking US and whoever, you know. Anyway. So, yeah, it's just that MRIs, yeah, I kind of wish I had had a Lego set to go through, you know, with the doctors before I had my first MRI. That would have been a lot easier. But I was an adult when I had my first one, so they could explain it to me, and I kind of knew what to expect. But it's weird when you get in there, because the whole thing just shakes, and yeah, it's weird. Like, I shouldn't say shakes like moves you around, because that would mess up the images, but it's like it does move a bit. You just have to keep yourself still relative to the machine, and then it's consistent. So yeah, you know what? I think I'm gonna call that an episode. We introduced the genes, we got a little bit of a stitch started, and we talked about Lego MRI rooms. So yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. I do really value the time we get to spend together. And yeah, till next time, keep on chilling. Don't forget your cookie. Peace.